Good evening, paranormal community, and thank you for joining me and only me at the present moment for this kind of early episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. As mentioned about 10 seconds ago, I'm by myself, which means my wonderful co host, Mr. David Sawyering, is not present. Why is that? Because he is currently watching the Vikings lose, as he should. Well, I mean, the Vikings are going to lose, but he should be here and not watching football. But I digress. Uh, I really can't say very much because the reason we're on an hour early, which is only going to really affect the live people, uh, because it doesn't matter what time it is when you download it after the fact. But the 49ers and Cowboys are playing tonight. It's something that I want to watch too. So we'd agreed to go on an hour early until he discovered the Vikings are playing the second game this afternoon, and he wanted to watch that until he is convinced that they are going to lose, and then he will be joining me. So have no fear. Mr. Sawyering will be with us shortly. I don't know why that just happened. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of the game so I know when to expect them. But for the first at least probably 15, 20 minutes, you are going to have to deal with just me. And I will try not to make it an awful, awful time for all of you. So quick thing, just want to reiterate something that I talked about last week and maybe even the week before. Next weekend, which is October 14th, 2 days before my sister's birthday. I only say that not because it should be important to you, but because if I forget, I want witnesses to know that I had remembered at one point. So, at the American Legion in Bayport, Minnesota, which is a small town. Love the place. Don't speed. The cops love speeders. But it is a small event, like a paranormal craft fair, if that's fair enough to say, to call it. It's called Witchy Weekend on the St. Croix. But not only will the Odyssey Paranormal Society, my team, be there for the entire day, but at 1 o'clock we will be presenting as well. A lot of our really good evidence that we have, and there's a lot more. It seems to be that we've been getting a lot more like really good evidence lately, and that's great. It means that I guess the other side is opening up a little bit more, is more comfortable with us. Uh, I know a lot of people will say that the veil is thinning, and as we get closer to Halloween, but honestly, I have not I have not witnessed that or noticed that in all of my years of doing this. It's the same no matter what. Uh, so I guess I'm not a big proponent of the fact that the veil is, or whether the veil is thinning or thick, or is lost of weight, is on a diet. I don't know. I don't pay much attention to that. Um, when I do an investigation, it is to make contact. So, um, but if it makes people feel better, kind of like when they say Mars is in retrograde, which is complete bubkiss. Sorry, Cena, but yeah, retrograde is an optical illusion. It's the same as if you break a mirror, you think you're going to have 7 years bad luck. It's the same thing. It's bogus. Um, so anyway, uh, that's going to be happening next weekend. If you were in the Minnesota kind of metro area and want to join us for that. Um, had our first con of the year last weekend. Went well. uh Gave out a lot of cards, had a lot of cards taken. But so far nothing. Um I did come across one, and this is I even had to ask Cena this question because I did not know. And that is whether a natural portal, one that wasn't really created by any specific human being, a natural portal could be closed or should be closed. Uh, we had a lady come up to the booth to talk to us about activity that had been happening in her home for a while now, and how many different people and teams had already been out to her place to not do anything to actually help. Uh, but come to find out that supposedly there is a portal on the property that really makes things difficult. A psychic medium did try and close it and said it couldn't, that person could not actually succeed in its closing. So, and that it was a natural portal, because I didn't know there was a difference between an unnatural and natural portal. Uh, so really, sending my team out there would have been pretty useless, because even if we would have been able to do something with it, with what's going on in the place, we are not equipped to close portals. Um, Even though I could have brought Cena, I guess, but it wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have helped at all. I mean, could have maybe moved on the spirits that were there, and then 2 weeks later, a week later, whatever, there'd be more. So it's best to close the portal first and then do something about whatever spirits unfortunately get left behind. So, with that said, as the title of the episode states, we have a great show for you once Dave actually gets here. And that is, we are actually going to be talking about what he didn't talk about last week, which is crop circles. And we had Cameron, who's one of my investigators, on it like years ago. Like, this is probably like 4 years ago, something like that, to do crop circles. So if you are a longtime listener and you're like, you've already done this topic, this is new stuff. In fact, when I was looking for some stuff, I was amazed at how many articles on crop circles had been written just in the last couple of months. Like, I found 3 or 4, like the BBC and the New York Times, and stuff like that that were written in August. I think one was written in June or July or something like that. I mean, there's this is still an ongoing thing. Uh, Crop circles, I believe, are still popping up, and it's interesting because of all of the, I guess, reports now of how they're hoaxed. And we'll be talking to Dave about that, because he did a whole bunch of research on it, and I'm thinking that this is probably going to be close to the whole sleep paralysis debate, where I like way up here and it's hoaxed, and he's much lower on what is hoaxed and what isn't. But yeah, so we will be talking about that. So while we wait for Dave, since he always does more stories than we need, and we're going to have a late start, I'm going to go down all the way to the bottom on one that would have been mine, anyways. And I'm pretty sure that him and I would have had pretty much the same type of answer. So I don't feel bad about taking his response away from him unless he joins us while I'm talking about it. So we're going down to number 7, all the way to the bottom. And it's So I'm Thinking. That's never good. All right. So in my insanity, again, not the proper way to start a question. I'm thinking of visiting a graveyard. I know exactly what graveyard I'm going to. I've struggled to get up to speed on my driving. Don't understand what that means. But I want to visit my local graveyard where my grandparents are buried. I know exactly where they're at. Unlike some graveyards, theirs doesn't have a closing gate. There is a brick wall with an opening. My grandpa was a strong father figure to me. Watching cancer break him and make him feeble tore my soul to pieces. But my thing is, I'm always working, so my best time is late at night. So I'm curious, have either of you been to a graveyard at 12 to 3 a.m.? Have you experienced anything weird? I'm trying not to be scared to go. Alrighty. So if you're asking about experiences, okay, well then Dave and I will probably have different, um, little different answers. We've had different experiences, but I can talk about mine and I can answer this person's question. But first, fun fact, and didn't know this until like, I don't know, maybe a year ago, is a graveyard is attached to a church. A cemetery is what is out in the open, what you see in the middle of nowhere. Um, so there you go. So this person, I think, especially since it has no gate, it's just a brick wall with an opening. You're probably talking about a cemetery, but that's just semantics. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. That's there's a difference, and I did not know that until very recently. So, with that said, I just want to talk about the actual uh, question of you going to your grandfather's grave, apparently in the middle of the night, and that is you can. I know everybody is probably thinking that I'm about to lambaste them. Don't you do that, blah, 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 but you're not doing it because you want to have some scary experience. You're not doing this for the thrill. You really seem to be doing this because you really want to try and uh, make contact with your grandfather, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whether you do that at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, if that is your intent, I guess have at it. Although it's going to be pretty hard to see at 2 in the morning, obviously, unless you have a flashlight. But you need to also be aware of where all the other stones are. One of the things that my team and I do anytime we do a cemetery is we do a blanket apology that if it's really dark, we may step on a stone. They always have these stones that are flat, even with the earth. They're not propped up or at an angle or big monuments. We may step on one, and that's we're not trying to be disrespectful, and I think that is something. If you are going to try to do that in the middle of the night, you need to at least throw that out there, let people know like why, excuse me, while you were there. um so the other thing that I want you to keep in mind is your grandparents are probably not there. I understand that that's where they're buried and that's where their stones are, and that would probably be the best place maybe to find them, but chances are, and I absolutely could be wrong, uh you're not going to make contact with them there. Make contact with somebody, but not them. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. For me, I saw my very first apparition in a cemetery. My second investigation ever. I think I've talked about it on the show multiple times. I don't really particularly need to go into that story. It is. I just feel like I'm talking. It's a broken record. That sort of thing. Like I'm just repeating stuff that I've talked about many times before on the show. But it's seen apparition in one. I got my first EVP ever in a cemetery, um, which was a little boy, and I do not have access to that presently. I would have played it if I haven't already on the show. But for new listeners, you would have not have heard it. But I got my first EVP from a cemetery, and I've gotten lots and lots of um evidence from a cemetery. What I will say about you being scared, and that is, uh, don't be. Honestly, once you get over your own like your own feelings of the fact that it's 2 in the morning or it's midnight or whatever time it is and dark and you're in a cemetery, cemeteries are actually often very peaceful, especially if you're there for good intentions. If you're not there to sell drugs or to, vandalize stuff or graffiti anything, if you're honestly there for honest intentions, cemeteries are very peaceful. Um, and I really don't think that anybody needs to be scared of them unless you obviously uh, do not have the proper intention. It's actually interesting to me, and I just want to throw this in there because Dave's not here yet. So I'm gonna ramble just a little bit and kind of go off the mark a tiny bit, but stay on the topic. And that is when I first started doing investigations, with Dave and the team Moon Dance Paranormal. The first three investigations that I did were three cemeteries, three different cemeteries, but all in the same kind of geographic region, probably maybe 10, 15 miles from each other. We kind of formed a triangle, and they were all awesome. Uh, all of them gave you personal experiences, they gave you evidence. It was great. And then obviously that fell off. And recently, within the last year and a half, we've gotten my team has gotten back into these three. Uh the third one most recently. And I'm amazed now that I'm actually experienced and I know what to look for. I know what to do. I know what to feel, that sort of thing, or how to feel. Maybe I should say not what to feel. And it amazed me, and this has been mirrored by all of my investigators as well, at the different feelings that each of these cemeteries had. Cemetery one, very, very welcoming. But not only could you tell that they were around and watching you, but they were watching you to make sure you weren't going to do anything stupid. It's welcome to my home, don't break anything type of thing. Very protective, but not in a you need to stay out way. Just don't screw with us. Cemetery number two, very standoffish. What are you doing here? You don't belong here. I don't want you here. That sort of thing. Just there's no reason for you to be here. Uh, was kind of that feeling that I got um, from that cemetery. And then we've gone to the first two multiple times. And we finally managed to just I finally broke down. I was like, yeah, we'll go to this third one. We got some good evidence last time out of that. Let's see what it's like now. Again, beautiful cemetery. But this one was just nonchalant, like they couldn't care less. While that you were there, what your intention was, uh, like they just like, "Whatever, dude," type uh, of an energy and a feeling to it. And it's kind of showing in like the evidence. We haven't gone over everything uh yet. Like we haven't gotten together as a team to go over the evidence, but I have been in contact obviously with my teammates and asked them if they have anything, you know, that's worth sharing. And one has nothing. Another has just a couple video things, which are probably going to be orbs. It was the first time I was able to use my night vision goggles, which was awesome. I will say this: the night vision goggles outside for an outdoors investigation um, were amazing, but not really yielding all that much evidence. Although I will say this, or will add to that, and that is, uh, everybody knows, everyone listening to the shows knows I hate orbs. Hate orbs. But um, it was different this time because it wasn't like this floating ball of light that just kind of flew through the camera and that was it. It was there for 3 seconds and then it was gone. And it's not evidence. I mean, what do you do with it? With night vision goggles, if I saw something like that, I could literally follow it with my eyes to see if it would do something, to see if it was a bug, to see if it would make weird, patterns. And I had one and I did catch it on video. Because I have gone over that. But up in the trees, so it's not along the ground, but like up in the trees, probably, I don't know, 15 feet, maybe something like that, 12, 15 feet up in the air. This big white orb uh comes out from behind the trees, and I'm following it for a couple seconds, and I'm like, well, what is that? And as soon as I say that, it makes a U-turn and flies back behind the trees. Not something that you would expect uh, from a bug or anything like that. But I thought maybe it was a bat, something like that. Only to maybe 20 minutes later actually catch a bat on video, and it was not lit up. It was not white. It was as black as you would think. So, that's interesting. I'm going to see obviously what the team thinks about it, whether it's good to consider it evidence or anything like that. Maybe they see something that I missed, but it was interesting. And I'm looking forward to getting out there, which probably won't happen now until next year since it's starting to get very cold. And yeah, although maybe we'll go squatching. uh, Most of my teammates are very against going out into the woods in the middle of the night when we don't know what we're doing. So probably not the best course of action, but you never know. So yeah, that's that one. And there's 6 seconds left in the game. So they should be here shortly, maybe after their Hail Mary. Which they better not make because then that's going to send it in overtime and then he's still not going to be here. And yeah, so I'm going to read the first story because hopefully by the time I read it and do my answer, Mr. Sawyering will be here. So here we go. Number one. Oh, I was going to wait for Dave, which is why, because this was like an added story. But since we're actually starting the stories, here we go. The Odyssey Files is proud to present the Mailbag. Oh, and I did that at the very end of the game. Okay. So, Dave should be here very shortly. So like I said, I'm going to read it and then start answering. And by the time I'm done, he should be here. All right. Any idea what I can do? Hey guys, in the last couple of days, me and my family have experienced some bizarre things. The oven is turning itself on, and my mom told me there are things falling repeatedly off the shelves. She has also seen things slide off the kitchen table after she has placed them there. I want to capture it myself. Can you give me a recommendation for what camera I should use, etc., and what to look out for? Thanks, guys. I think you should probably maybe leave well enough alone. Um, because my question to you is, what is capturing it on video actually going to do for you? Like, I get everybody likes confirmation. Like, they don't want to think that they're crazy. They want to be able to tell the stories and show people. But if it's something that is actually bothering you, what is capturing it on video really going to do? In fact, it's just going to make you go harder. It's going to make you do more stuff, which then becomes an invitation, becomes inviting. You're opening up doors that you don't know what's going to come through them. Um, and I think this is a very slippery slope. I think if this stuff is going on, you should probably reach out to somebody not to find out how to capture it, but to find answers for you that are trained in that to find you answers. I mean, all of these things that's going on are like physical in nature, they're movement. It makes me believe that what you're dealing with is a poltergeist, but brought on by a living human. I mean, my question to you is, what is going on with the people in your house? Is there anything going on with you? Is there anything traumatic going on with your mother? Um, what is going on in your lives that may be making this an emotional turmoil, which is then being sent out uh, to uh, affect your environment, so to speak. Because it doesn't say anybody's getting scratched, and say you're hearing anything. Everything is physical. Um, it's either that, so it's either one of yous, one of you guys, uh, that is causing this, or maybe if there was a recent death in the family. Maybe there was a recent death of somebody who used to own the place and they came back and they're trying to either A, freak you out and get you to go, or they're trying to make you understand that they're there. Maybe you've ignored every other sign. So instead of trying to capture it on video, I would just try to find answers uh, through somebody else. Like, I would bring somebody else in, reputable paranormal team, a psychic medium, to tell you exactly what is going on and how best to solve it. Because I think that if you start doing stuff on your own, it's just going to lead to more and more troubling things. Why is he not here? Game is over. You're going to hear typing. And that's me telling my co-host to get his mother bump him f ass in here because we have more stories to do and a great topic. So I guess I'm going to move on because that's my answer. Uh, unless you want me to actually tell you what camera to use, in which case, any honestly, it sounds like this is all happening during the day. It doesn't matter. You could use your iPhone if you have one. You could use your Android. You could use your cell phone. Uh, if this is all happening during the day, any camera would work. There's no special camera you need to have. Unless this is happening at night, in which case you just need a camcorder that has an IR light. And the only reason that I'm giving those answers is because I don't feel right moving on to do Dave's story. But I'm going to anyway because this is his fault. All right, number 2. How can I reach out to someone? Hi, guys. I'm trying to reach out to my dad. He passed away back in July, and I want to hear his voice again. or just see him one more time. I've had vivid dreams of him already. I didn't see him, but I did hear him say, I love you to me. And another one, which I saw him walk past his urn. They all seemed so real. Here's the kicker: I don't really think it was him. I think my brain was just trying to cope with his death. So, is there any way I can open myself up to the other side? Any help is appreciated. Thank you for your time. This is almost exactly like the last question. Hey, all right. Maybe he'll be here soon. So, um, yeah, you do not need to open yourself up to reach out to your father. In fact, that would be very anti-productive. Uh, we've talked about on the show a bunch of times about people who uh, want to open themselves up if they're wondering if a loved one has come to visit them. Why haven't they come visit them? There's another story here about receiving paranormal messages. If the passed over, or as I like to call them, the otherwise bodied, want to talk to you, they will. They will contact you in your dreams. You will hear their voice when you're walking down the hallways, something. They will find a way to reach out to you. The problem here is a lot of times they don't need to. They've moved on, they've gone to the other side, they've said what they need to said. They have said what they need to say, uh, and gotten their answers or gotten their statements to you. As I read this, I think probably the father walking past the urn is probably just a dream. But I think the where you heard his voice say "I love you," I think that was probably him. I think that was his message for you, and that's all he really needs to say. I know you probably have a lot that you want to say, uh, but to him, it's not that important. Speaking of importance, here he is, Mr. David Soyering, fresh off a new Viking loss. I can't hear you. Oh,
Yeah,
there you
that
are.
sucks.
I was going
That
to say that's
sucks.
a huge delay.
Yeah, I'm having problems on my end connecting. I got everything is just spinning in a circle except for you. So
Oh well.
that's
I
what you
mean,
get when you got a $29 computer. So
yeah, pretty much. I just going to tell you, I've been talking smack about you watching football instead of being here on the show all day. So
it's all right. You know, I just can't bail on my team, man. So
I thought the Bears were your team.
well, the Bears are always going to be my team because I was born and raised in Chicago. So I'm always going to bleed Chicago Bears blue. But uh, they they suck so bad this year that again that it's just really difficult.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, when I'm caught in this weird thing where life just is a miserable team, you know.
yeah, pretty much. Go
What
Lions,
are you
I
gonna do?
guess.
Sure, and I because there we go.
Did you finally get caught up?
So
Apparently
where are
not.
you at?
All
Yeah.
right. So
Yep.
here, so here's what
So
I have been
obviously you're
doing.
past number one, I would guess, or have you done stories or no?
I
Okay.
started out at 7 because I figured that yours and my answer to that would be close to being the same, minus a few experiences, obviously. Uh, so then I you still weren't here, so I did do number 1, but I just got done reading and I'm halfway through my answer for number 2. So if you want to go back to number 1 and throw out your answer, you're more than welcome to.
Okay. So let's see if I'm like even if you can hear me good or not. All right, so I'll give you a quick answer for number one. So oven turning itself on, falling repeatedly off shelves, sliding off the kitchen table. I bet you probably went with poltergeist. I'm not going to go with poltergeist. I'm going to say that it is something that is trying to reach out to you because it seems like there's just a crap load of activity like all of a sudden, and it's all strong. So I'm going to say that it's something is coming up, that it's a spirit, somebody that passed away, a family member, a friend, loved one, whatever. Somebody's trying to get your attention to tell you something important, and the only way they know how to do it is to do extreme things. As far as capturing it for yourself, do you really need to? I guess if you really need to, you can use any type of camera. And they're all high def these days. You don't need, any camcorder, any GoPro, anything like that, you can just put in place. GoPros are cheap. You can buy generic GoPros. They're cheap. They run for a couple hours at a time, I think. On the, they got small batteries, obviously, but I think you get a couple hours out of them. Use a GoPro if you really need to kind of catch it. The problem I think there is that if it's not happening, it's probably not happening like at a specific time, which means that your chances of catching it are probably going to be slim and none unless you set up a complete web to catch everything. And if you're going to do that, then you might as well get a multiple camera, 4 terabyte home security system type of setup, like you would see like at a gas station or something like, or convenience store, and just set that up in your house. But I don't know why you'd waste the time or the money. If it's happening, it's happening. You're not going to get rich off of putting it on the internet. You're just going to get a whole bunch of people telling you that it's bullshit and that it's staged. So I don't know what you're trying to accomplish.
You almost literally, just in your own words, like you paraphrased my entire answer.
Does that differ?
Huh? I started with poltergeist, moved on to, if it's not a poltergeist, then it's a loved one or somebody trying to make contact with you. And then I went, since you still weren't here, I then further went on to actually answer the question. It was like, you really don't even need to capture it because it's not really going to do you any good. So why would you need to? And then any camera would work. So you pretty much just paraphrased my entire answer. Wow, that delay is horrible.
You're free. I'm probably freezing up. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
I
almost think I almost
freezing
think that
up
we
horrible.
need.
Warm up.
Yeah. So are you. So
and
yeah,
it shows that my signal's strong. So yeah.
I don't know what to tell you on that one. Maybe you should switch over to your phone.
I can restart my computer, but it's going to be a little bit before I can get back.
Well, luckily I have a lot of practice just talking.
Basically just ripping on me for being late for watching the Vikings game.
Well, that wasn't the whole half hour, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm showing strong Wi-Fi signal, but I keep getting an error from the program from StreamYard saying that I got a weak Wi-Fi connection, even though on my laptop, my Wi-Fi connection's at as strong as it can possibly be. So I don't know what the problem is. If one is telling me I got a weak Wi-Fi and the other one's showing me that I don't know what to do.
I think that it's not able to, your computer's not able to process the program as well as it needs to. I think that's probably
Yeah,
the
that's what it
issue.
is. I would just put that on it. Yeah, well, like I said, this thing's a piece of. It's a piece. Let's just put it that way.
What? The Broncos lost? That's just so surprising. All right. Anyway,
I can't believe it.
can't believe that either. All right. Well, I guess we have to make a decision on whether to continue with the show or not.
Well, I just closed everything that I had open, and now you're coming through.
Yeah, now you're
Not,
fine.
yeah, I closed every window I had except for StreamYard.
Well, that's gonna hurt us in the second hour.
Yeah, it is going to hurt us in the second hour. Good thing I took some notes in writing.
Good,
But
good.
well, let's try it.
All
Let's
right.
try it like this. So just fingers crossed.
All right. Well, I then read number 2.
Okay.
And I was pretty much just saying that uh, opening yourself up to the other side just in the hopes of talking to your dad is not the proper way of doing things.
Nope.
And that because the dead or the otherwise bodied, decide who they want to talk to, and just because this person is trying to reach out to their father doesn't mean that it's the father that is actually going to answer.
Right.
I also said that um, the dream about the father walking past the urn was probably just a dream, but I think the "I love you" was an actual message from the father,
Yep.
because that is all that really he needed to say.
Yep.
And that I know that this person probably has a lot themselves to say, but that really doesn't matter anymore.
Nope.
So you don't need to, and that was pretty much when you came in. So just to finish it up, uh, basically, the otherwise bodied, they'll come to you if they have a message. Otherwise, you're going to have to accept it. I understand that it's hard, very, very hard. We all have things we wish we would have said if we had one more chance to see our loved ones, but that is something that we now have to live with. And you know, the best that I could ever say for you to do is to, if you wanted to reach out maybe to your spirit guys, say, hey, can you connect me with my father? I wouldn't expect anything to happen, but you never know. Um, so I think you just need to accept the fact that you're not, until you are in the same position as he is, you're just going to have to live with the fact that you're not going to get that chance. I would just take the fact that he wanted to tell you one more time that he loved you as as solace, as comfort, and move on with life.
I would agree. I mean, the only other thing that I would add to what you just said is that you are running the risk of tethering him here and not letting his spirit move forward. And that's a real phenomena that happens. So whatever guilt you're feeling, whatever reason you think you need to talk to your dad again, you don't need to. You just need to move on. And if you need therapy to get over that, then go get therapy to get over that. Because therapy is important. A lot of people should be in therapy. A lot of people that aren't in therapy should definitely be in therapy. And people that are in therapy will tell you once you make that first step and you go to therapy, that it's the best thing that ever happened to them. So if you feel that you have something left to say that you didn't say, or there's some guilt you're carrying around, whatever, don't tether your dad's spirit here by putting that anchor on him. That's your problem to deal with. So deal with yourself however you can. Let him go. Take the "I love you" as his final goodbye until you see him again somewhere down the road.
Yep. All righty. Well, look at this. I'm reading again.
Hey.
Number 3, unexplained noise from the attic. No clue what it is, but there's literally no explanation for what it could be. So tonight I'm sitting in my room and I hear a noise that sounds like harsh tapping coming from the walls and ceiling. It suddenly gets loud and sounds almost like thunder, but it definitely wasn't coming from the ceiling. My room and my sister's room are both right under the attic, and nobody else in my house has ever heard these noises. My sister says she hears them every night, but never in the day. It's not rats or anything. Rats don't make that much noise. It's not just creaking. It's not anything falling from the storage boxes up there. I suspect it's some sort of paranormal creature scurrying around, since that's what it sounds like. Tonight is the first time I've heard this noise, but like I said earlier, my sister has heard it multiple times before. I'm scared. What should I do? What is this? I think it's one of two things. I definitely don't think it's a paranormal creature that is scurrying around your attic. The first thing that it can be, if you want to go supernatural, is residual energy. If it's always happening at night, it's always in the same place from the attic, but you're and all you're hearing are noises, but nobody has experienced anything else and nothing during the day. Chances are it's residual energy, something that is it's playing itself out for whatever reason. I don't know. Something in the history of the house. The only other thing that I think it could be is go bigger than rats. You know, people have squirrels, they have raccoons, they have possums. I don't think possums do that stuff, but I mean, there's bigger animals than rats that can get into houses and make a lot of noise. Um, so I mean, I would go up there. I mean, nowhere in your story did you say that you've gone up there and you haven't found any droppings, you haven't found any uh signs of animal life, that sort of thing. Like I would go and check and see if you can find sources of maybe bigger animals that are getting into your attic. Who knows? Maybe you trapped a bird up there or something like that, and it's flapping around like trying to get out. I don't know. But to me, this doesn't seem to be intelligent. Otherwise, it would do something more than the same thing every night. I mean, the fact that your sister hears it and now you are uh, really is the very definition of residual energy.
I'm not going paranormal at all. I'm going rodent or snake.
Ooh,
Um,
snake.
a- yeah, a lot of people, and depending on where you live, it's a common occurrence. I've watched an absolute ton of documentaries and shows on things that go bump in the night and things in the attic, and they'll go up there, and all of a sudden they'll find 10 snake sheds. You know, and snakes aren't bouncing around, but they certainly make noise, especially if there's mice in the house or a rat, and they are obviously feeding. That's why they're there, because the snakes wouldn't be there if there wasn't a food source. So they're up there chasing a mouse around, let's say, just as a hypothetical situation. They're bouncing into things, scurrying along the floor, slithering along. The mouse is running. It's getting a little noisy as the hunt and dodge is happening. I would guess that that's what you're hearing. I don't think that this is paranormal at all. So I would tell your folks, have them go up there. If everybody's too scared to go up there, have a home inspector go up there. Somebody like that. Pest control. I think that those guys will come out and do that stuff. I don't know if they do it for free anymore. They certainly used to. I don't know if they've got like a service call fee or whatever, but I can imagine for $100 or less, you can put a resolve to this situation and everybody can go back to sleep. And for $100 bill, it's a worthy investment. Anything else? I'll take that as a no. Okay. Even though I ask for it daily, why am I not receiving paranormal experience or messages? I've heard that the more you open yourself up to it, the more vulnerable you are to the paranormal. I've wanted to experience the paranormal for as long as I can remember. I put it out into the universe that I would like the spiritual side to be more open towards me. This may be a silly question, but do I possibly have too much spiritual protection? I often see symbols of protection, such as the number 444, though this may just be magical thinking. I'm just curious as to what either of you might think as to why I'm not more exposed to the spiritual realm. Well, if you go by the kind of the theory that's out there right now, anytime that you see repeated numbers, they're called angel numbers. Common ones are 111, 222, 444 would fall into that. I know a lot of people that see ones and twos. They'll look at the clock. It'll be 111 real frequently, or 222. They'll see numbers. I actually have had clients that have seen numbers just floating in the air, which sounds strange. That's weird in itself. But so I would say that if you're seeing symbols of protection, I would say, I don't know that they're protection, but they're considered to be angel numbers. I do agree that the more you open yourself up to the paranormal, the more vulnerable you are. I don't know that vulnerable is necessarily the right term. The more receptive you are to having a paranormal experience. I'm not sure why you're going there. You don't say what your goal is here or what your purpose is. So I'm not sure why you are trying to have experiences or receive messages from the dead. My advice, if you're doing it for fun, like this is going to be a thrill ride for you, go find something else to do. This is not, going and talking to the dead is not a thrill ride that you should be taking. So we'll just leave it at that without me getting on my soapbox. So I would say, if you're not having any experiences and you're seeing angel numbers, then your spirit guides are blocking you for some reason from doing something stupid, like opening yourself up. And the reason they might be doing that is because once you open that door, you might not have the ability to close it. And they know that, and you don't. And so they are kind of stepping in the way and blocking you from doing something that you're going to regret. I would take that as a sign of love, and I would move on with your life and find something else to do and not worry about the paranormal. I can't hear you. No, I just lost you.
All right, never mind.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay. I was going to say, I got nothing, man.
No, I had turned off my mic so I could drink water and not do it, loudly, and I forgot to turn it back on. I said, you forgot an entire paragraph, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't. I see it now. Okay, so sorry. So to add to, okay, so my question stays the same, but I'll read this. So also, I tragically lost my 8-year-old little sister 13 years ago to a drowning accident. This may be unrelated, but I just thought it might have a bearing on why I might not be experiencing anything. I hardly ever have dreams of her, but I think about her every day. Could she somehow be blocking me? No, your sister's not blocking you. Does it have a bearing on why you're not experiencing the paranormal? Absolutely not. Your 8-year-old sister's not stepping in and blocking you. If anybody's stepping in and blocking you, it's your spirit guides. Like I said, I'm sticking with my answer. They know what's happening. They see the future, the past, and the present simultaneously. So they see into the future. I'm sure that they see something they don't like with you venturing into the paranormal. And this is their way of telling you, trying to deter you to step away and go do something else with your life. And I would suggest that that's what you do. If you were trying to reach out to your little sister who died 13 years ago, it seems like it's awful strange that you waited 13 years to try and reach out to her. Not trying to be judgmental. I'm just saying that seems like a long time to wait, 13 years. Just rest in the fact that she's with God and that she's someplace better, even though she died tragically at a young age, and that she's being taken care of, and that somewhere down the road you'll see her again. Sticking with my answer, though.
Gotcha. So all right, we're gonna go on intermission really quick, and then I will come back with my answer. All right. We'll be back on the other side. See you then.
This is Susan Slaughter from Paranormal Caught on Camera, introducing you to the most epic show ever, the Odyssey Files with David Soyering and Michael O'Neill. You're welcome. Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, this is Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters, and if you ever have time that you never want to get back, spend it listening to Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files.
This is Heather Taddy of Paranormal State and Alien Highway. I can't say that the Odyssey Files are out of this world, but Mike and Dave are quite abductable.
Hey, this is Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters, and you're listening to Dave and Mike on the Odyssey Files. It's not the best show you're ever going to listen to, but it's also probably not the worst.
This is Michelle Belanger, author of The Dictionary of Demons. What is faster than a speeding shadow person and more fun than an anal probe? It's Mike and Dave of the Odyssey Files. Hold on to your hats and buns.
This is Elizabeth Saint. You know, in my journeys I've confronted an over 1,000-year-old demon from the depths of Shepherdstown. But then, you know what happened? I came across Mike and Dave. And hot damn, nothing could have prepared me for the Odyssey Files. My second favorite radio show. I love you guys.
And we are back. Alrighty. So when we left you a couple minutes ago, we were talking about this person who wants to experience paranormal.
Are we back?
Yeah. We're back. Are you not back? And Dave's gone. All right. Well, it's my answer anyway. We'll get this fixed one of these days. So, I think that where you're going wrong is you're asking the paranormal, the supernatural, whatever, to welcome back.
We just might as well go back to Skype the way this shit's working.
It's all your fault. Mine's working just fine.
Yeah, no, I know it's my fault. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, anyway.
That's what you get when you've got a $25 computer.
Well, it depreciated by $4 since we started the show.
It's depreciated by more than $4. I was going to say like a $9.99 blue light special, if anybody remembers what that is. But
I don't think that had anything to do with computers, though. Anyways.
No.
All right. So I think where this person is going wrong is they're asking for the supernatural to come to them. You know, you can't just sit in your bed and be like, spirits, come speak with me. And then think that they're going to, you know, waste their time on you. So, I mean, people need to study. I mean, if you're trying to have a spiritual experience, let's just stick with that. We'll skip the paranormal, skip the supernatural and ghosts and paranormal messages and whatever else you're trying to go after, and just go with the spiritual event. You can't just, I mean, I suppose you probably could, although I think that that's probably like you're going to need to like really get involved in it. But I mean, like, you go and you search for people who can help you achieve it. Like, you can't just sit there. At least I couldn't sit there in the bed and be like, oh, come and speak with me. And then I'm going to be, you know, riddled in conversation for the next couple of hours. It's got nothing to do with your receptiveness. It's got nothing to do with your openness. It honestly is just the fact that you're being lazy. You're trying to bring the paranormal to you, and you're just not in, and you're not even doing a good job of it. Like I can't believe that I would say this, but I would probably have more respect for you if you used the Ouija board. Because that would because that would just probably be more efficient than the way you're doing it now. I'm just saying, I can't believe I would say that. But using a Ouija board for this is a lot better than just sitting there and be like, come and speak with me. It's just laziness, Dave. And I like efficiency. So anyways. Anyways, if you actually, and we've talked about this so many times before, if you want to experience the paranormal, go out with a trained, reputable paranormal team, and they will, I hope, again, this is trained, reputable team, not just thrill seekers and stuff. They will give you a safe environment, as safe as they can, in order to fulfill whatever it is you are trying to fulfill. I really don't think that your deceased little sister is, like metaphorically cock blocking you. Okay. I don't even know how that works. Like, oh, my sister wants to talk to the dead. No, don't anybody talk to her. Nobody. Like, she doesn't have the type of power. I think that either nobody wants to talk to you, or Dave's absolutely right. Your spirit guys are just dropping it right to the floor, not letting and just not letting it happen. So I would blame your spirit guides if anything, but honestly, I think you need to stop being lazy and do something safe, so that cancels out the Ouija board, and talk to a psychic medium, talk to a shaman, talk to a paranormal team. They can help you in ways that just sitting there and asking for it to happen is actually going to do something for you. So yeah. I sent you a message which you haven't seen, so obviously.
No, I don't have Messenger open.
Oh, all right. Well, I just said, do you want to move into tonight's topic, or do you want to do another story?
We can move into the topic.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll finish. We'll save these two stories for next week.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll throw them on the list for next week.
All righty. Well, thank you to everybody who wrote in for this week's stories and questions. Again, if anybody wants to write to Dave and I their own story or their own question, odysseyfilesradio@gmail.com, or just DM us on social media. And for those of you youngsters who are becoming their parents, DM means direct message. Okay, moving on. Now I got nothing.
Yes, it does.
Come on,
I
thought that was a great joke. I just want to say I thought that was a great joke.
Here's what I'm gonna say. My whole position moving forward. Now, are we breaking up again?
Kinda. Did you open another window?
Am I back?
Well, I can hear you.
Nope. I'm like I can only have two windows open. Otherwise, the computer's going to just start vibrating and explode, which would probably be a good thing, because then it would force me to go out and actually buy a computer, like something that actually works.
Maybe you should bring up your research pages on your phone instead of your computer. And he can't hear my answer.
Yeah, I can't do that because I got everything saved under my tabs
Oh.
on my computer.
Well, that's not doing you any good
But
because the
I
second you
can't
bring
say
that out,
this.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
all right. So here's what we're going to try to accomplish in hour 2. All right. I'm going to take the position that crop circles are real, but I'm going to say this disclaimer up front. So, have there been hoaxes of crop circles? Absolutely. 100%. Yes. There's been people that have taken videos of themselves making a simple crop circle, walking around with their board and their string, bending crops over and making some type of simple design. So has that happened? Absolutely, it's happened. Do I believe that all crop circles are man-made? Absolutely, 99.9% not. There's way too much they're way too intricate, and there's way too many of them, and there's just not enough. No way a human being can do this. There's no way that a human being can take a board and a string and put in levels of radiation that are 10 times what they are outside of the circle. There's no way that they can, and this has been attempted, there's no way that they can put iron deposits inside the circle to the point where you can cross over a crop circle with a magnet and actually pick up metal shavings, microscopic metal iron particles out of the crop circle. As soon as you go back to the crops that are right next to it, there's nothing there. But while you're in the circle, the magnet's able to pick up iron filings. It's been attempted. A group of students from MIT went out.
Dave, you're freezing like crazy.
This is where I'll start. Yeah. Am I?
A little bit.
Huh. Well, I've only got 2 windows open, so. Should we save this for next week?
We might have to. Maybe we should just do.
I can't do it. I mean, I've only got 2 windows open. I can't do it I can't close any more windows than what I have open. I think StreamYard is like taking every single ounce of memory that this computer has.
I think so too.
It's taking its 1 RAM and running with it.
It's 1 horsepower engine. Yeah, because I think this is
one. Yeah, I need to get a second hamster to put on the wheel to power it. Second gerbil.
I think so too. Yeah, why don't we sideline this? We'll do this as a live only show this week, and then we'll try again next week. Well, okay, that does it for this.
You're freezing up, and they're disappearing off of my screen.
Yeah, so I think that just for the sake of our audience, they can watch me react to you freezing just fine. That's entertaining, I'm sure. But to people listening on audio, that's not going to be the case. So we'll table it for this week. We'll get to we'll do this next week, and then we'll get back into the rhythm of things. Alrighty, that does it for this week. Hope that our live show tickles people's fancy. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Everyone, have a great evening.